When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
All right, so you were in George A. Romero's iconic Dawn of the Dead, but also appeared in the Zack Snyder remake, which Hollywood's been running rampant with the past few years. Generally speaking, how do you feel about reimaginings of classic cinema?
Yeah, some work, some work very well, some don't. The fans seem to have some interest in some of them. Ben-Hur with William Warren, I think the first one, was a fairly good film in black and white. And then they remade it with Charlton Heston years later and color, and it was also very, very good. I don't think they could do another that will be interesting. And then again, I think that as the decades pass, there's generations. I know there's several kids that come up to me today and they say, "Well, I saw Dawn of the Dead," and I say, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah, another." Which one did you think? "Oh, no, I didn't see the original. I saw the remake." So it's new to them. So they really don't know anything about Romero's classic or the original. And I think that goes with a lot of people. I think the Poseidon Adventure, good film, exciting. Compelling, interesting, explosive, but the remake, I don't think so much. And I don't know if you can make something that you have to follow the exact story that preceded it. That you can make that. It's very difficult to make that exciting and have people want to come back and see it and spend the money for a movie ticket and buy popcorn and watch it again, unless you've got something that you've done that was imaginative and different within that small frame of we can't veer too much from the original. So it's difficult for the creator, it's difficult for the director and producers and writers to come up with something that's not going to vary too much from the original, but still hold your attention and make you want to see it again and again. There are several stories that stand the test of time, and you got Friday the 13th, 10 and still counting. I don't know. You got Halloween and 20 and still counting. I'm sure there are a few others that Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think so there are some that are franchises, and the audience seems to want to see more of, and so certainly the horror fans and the horror audience, they don't seem to grow tired of them. And I think there's an issue of if it's successful and if it has a large fan base, and if it's a few decades ago or if it's just a few years ago, if the fans will come to the theaters and or buy the DVDs or watch it on pay-per-view or HBO, then they'll there's the money issue. There is a financial incentive to make a successful remake and have all the fans who enjoyed the original come back and see the remake. I'm not sure that it works well with all remakes. As a matter of fact, it doesn't. Because there are several remakes, of course, that I don't want to, I see something being remade and I say, I really don't want to see that. I saw the original, and maybe I might tune in, and see, a few minutes, I try to stay with it. And then I think, well, it's not really as good, or it's just not grabbing me, or, okay, what's next? I know what's coming next. Okay. So,
You're right.
Exactly. So I'm going to turn it off. So, I kind of have mixed feelings about it. I think it's, I think if it works well, and the director, producer, writer are lucky, and they grasp something, or they find some kind of inventive way of telling the story a little bit differently without Halloweens and Texas Chainsaw Massacres, that you or Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead. I think that you have to. You have as many or more that are remakes that just people say, oh God, that's horrible. I can't tell you how many horribles I've heard about remakes.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I feel a little, I feel, I'm kind of a little more compassionate and feel compassion for the people who make the film, who invest the money, who take the time to try to create a remake and what everything they put into it. This is a huge gamble, a very big investment, and so I feel a little. When I begin to say, "Oh, this isn't good," or I hear fans say, "Oh God, no, it's horrible. It was a crap," and that's kind of okay, but a lot of lives were invested in this and putting this in front of an audience, and I feel a little bad about that. But what can I say? That's my opinion of remake.
All right. So, how about your cameo in the Dawn remake? I mean, how did that come about? What was that process like?
Oh, that was very strange because there was so much hubbub and bad feelings and fuss about the remake and threats. And my agent and I thought maybe it wouldn't bode too well with the fans if I accepted or agreed to do the role in the remake. And at the last moment, I think 2 weeks before they stopped shooting or something like that, maybe it was less than 2 weeks, I decided that maybe Nigel and I decided that maybe we should be a part of it. And so we went up and we decided to do it. But it was really a lot of thought given on my part as to whether I should or shouldn't, because the fans were going just berserk. Oh no, don't touch it! You can't do a remake of Dawn of the Dead, And I've heard so many negative and some of it was a little disturbing. The threats to the director, the producer, from what I heard, and I thought, well, maybe I should stay away from it. But at the end, I decided I would do it, and I flew up and did the cameo.
I mean, from a personal standpoint, I think the Dawn remake is the best I've seen. Having been in the original and the stance you have on remakes, the finished product there with the Dawn of the Dead remake, I mean, how do you feel about that?
I thought it was a good horror film. I thought it was very well done. I thought the special effects were great. Cinematography superb. Not enough time spent in the mall for my taste. But I think that they were very creative in the gun shop and the rooftop of the mall. I thought the crane shots were just breathtaking. And I may be exaggerating or a little overextending that, but I just thought they just stuck out for me, especially when they left the mall in the bus and that crane shot of all the zombies surrounding the school.
Right.
And the one where in the beginning with the kind of Hitchcockian crane shot where the birds are flying. And
right.
I think that it was a large truck. I think of a gasoline truck ran into a car and exploded and that kind of thing. I thought that was a great shot too. I thought the performances were fairly intriguing and well, I thought the performances were right on too. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a tribute to us, to Dawn, to our characters. I think I think they used Galen Ross's something in that. Galen Ross, I think, for one of the stores. I think. Was that? Maybe that wasn't that film. I'm not sure. And I think they did put Scott in and Tom Savini as for cameos as well. And I think Vin Rames' name was Kenny something or something, wasn't
Kenneth, yep.
Well, yeah, I think so. maybe they, I think they were fans, and they did a wonderful job, and I was entertained. I thought as a remake that it was certainly worth the price of admission for any fan, to see it, and it was a good film. It was a good film.
Now, you'd said in the past that you were a fan of Night of the Living Dead and that you knew Duane Jones. I mean, how did you know him coming up in New York? Was that as an actor? And I mean, I've always wondered. I mean, Jones to me simply just never got his due as an actor.
Well, I knew Duane Jones. Yes, I knew him in New York, and we were both in an activist group. It's in the late '60s, and I'll say this about his performance in Night of the Living Dead. When he stepped on the in front of the camera, I mean, it just illuminated the entire set. I mean, the camera was it was extremely good to this guy, and he had so many responsibilities and obligations to the material and the emotions he had to display. I mean, the other actors taking nothing away from them, but it was just scream and Duane had to have compassion. He had to be forceful. He had to be vulnerable. He had to be angry. The list of emotions are just never ending for this character, and he was, and along with George and his writing and of course the visionary that he is, created this classic that are responsible for the classic that it is today. And I think it launched the zombie craze that we enjoy and have enjoyed for decades. And now with The Walking Dead and World War Z and I think what was the one with the guy from Cheers? I forget. Zombieland, was it?
Yeah, Zombieland, Woody Harrelson. Yeah,
Woody Harrelson. I mean, and it keeps going on. I mean, the zombies are coming from everywhere. They're everywhere. And every commercials, small projects. God, I can't. There was something the other night, and I can't think of what it was. But I've seen at least 2 or 3 zombie things in the last few weeks on major television.
Yeah.
And wasn't aware that it was the zombies involved. All of a sudden, I'm seeing a group of people and they're armed to the teeth and they're walking through somewhere, and I'll say, oh, okay, they're rising from the dead again, and here we are with zombies again. So this is all because, and I'll say it again. George wrote it, and my God, he certainly did a wonderful job in capturing the time and place and the decade we were living, those decades that the decades in America, and certainly Duane Jones was the catalyst for all of that being displayed on screen, and really he was the star of that movie. He was absolutely the star of that movie, and he was in command in the beginning, from the beginning, and he was the last man standing at the end. Shot him until they shot him. So he saved the lives. It was really his vehicle, and because of that, and being an African American too in those days, it was something special, and you couldn't take your eyes off of him or off of the screen and what was going on during any of the scenes, and it was his show, and I think if you want to give credit to Duane, or if he hasn't gotten credit, he certainly should, because if anyone looks at it, they can't deny that this is Duane Jones was one of the reasons that Night of the Living Dead got as much press, attention, and curiosity, and I guess you might even say wonderment, because there was an African American who is the lead, who is in command, and who stays around to the end and before he's killed, and there's a social commentary about that in George's writing.
No question here. So
Yeah.
when it comes to Rob Zombie, he says that he's comfortable with friends and people whom he can trust, and clearly you're one of those people. You've done several projects with him. What's it like on the set of a Rob Zombie flick?
Well, I tell you, I love working with Rob. Trust him. I think that Rob Zombie set. My God, Rob Zombie is always a fun set. I think everyone who works with Rob Zombie or has the opportunity to work with him, they build a kind of a kinship. You really root for Rob. He makes it comfortable for you on the set. It's always something magical going on. It's always something. Hey, come over here and look at this, but take a look at that. It's really always something, really very creative, sometimes strange, sometimes unusual and bizarre, but something. It's never a dull moment. And he's a good director who gives you the leeway to explore, be creative, come up with your own ideas, and throw in a few ad-libs, and if they work, he'll stop you if they don't. He's special, and I enjoy working with him, and I think we have to scratch the surface, and I look forward to working with him in the future.
Yeah, your appearance in Zombies Halloween as Big Joe Grizzly was brief, but very memorable. The Taco Deluxe Supreme line might be the funniest thing I've heard in a horror film. Was any of that improvised, or was that all in the script?
The two lines that really stick out for me, and I hear more about this, is the two lines that I really kind of, well, there's two in the, I guess there's three. I'm kind of getting a little confused here. There's naughty, naughty girl, naughty girl, naughty, naughty girl, which I love. Nobody else talks about, but I love it. And then and there's an old story about one of the directors, and I think it was in the 20s. I'm trying to think of his name. I can't think of his name now. It's driving me simply crazy. But he was between D.W. Griffith and there was another guy, and then he was one of the top directors. Anyway, he was riding pants and the strap-up, lace-up boots, and he had the crop, and he was on the set, and I think they locked the set and held all the extras in all night long, and there was a big scandal about that years ago in the 20s or 30s. And so he was had let everybody go outside of the sound stage, and he had a young ingenue, let's say, in a strange position. And he looked up, and one of the guys from the crew was climbing up one of the walls and the catwalk, changing a light or something. And he looked, and the guy's sitting there, and the young girl's doing what she's doing. And I don't know if you should print this or not. he's sitting there, and he looks up, and he sees the guy, and he takes the rotting crop, and he hits the girl, not hard, but gently in the back, and says, "Naughty girl, naughty girl." And I've never forgotten that. So when I was in the scene with Joe Grizzly, and I'm looking through the magazine, I just said, "Naughty girl, naughty girl." And so no one gets that but me, but that was one of the ones. The other one is "I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch," which is, oh my God. I mean, I hear that in every country I've traveled in. I have had people who work for corporations, and as they come in every morning, everybody in each of the cubicles, especially when it came out, would say, "Watch out, I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch." No, I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch. On all day. And that became a mantra every day, and I heard it from people who worked in telephone companies, to web companies, to editors, and different studios, and everyone, that was their greeting. "I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch. I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch." was as popular for a minute as every place I go. You know, I'm Joe Grizzly Bitch. I'm Joe Grizzly Bitch, and I'm sure that if they keep running Halloween, I'll hear more of it. But it's been, and then there was another, the one that, the line that was one of the reasons I accepted the role was the Cool Hand Luke line, and that was only I was set by Struthers Martin, and when I saw that line there, I said, well, I'm the second one to say this line other than the great Struthers Martin and Cool Hand Luke. I like this, so that was another one. So yeah, it's those are the reasons. Those were the lines that I found enjoyable and I hear more about.
And what about going up against Tyler Mane in that scene? I mean, that's probably one of the few times, if ever, that you weren't the biggest dude on the set, right?
Yeah, well, Tyler and I just had a big argument about what happened during that scene because I have a vision of what happened, an opinion of what happened, and he has an opposite. He remembers it quite differently. Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a tall guy, very kind of a lanky guy, about 7 foot, I believe. And he's, maybe he's a little taller than 7 foot. I don't know, but he's a big guy, and it was a good scene. We tore down 2 bathroom stalls, and we put up a tremendous fight. You know, quite one of the more memorable fights probably in recent screen history, horror film history. You know.
Oh yeah. So what is it about the horror genre that keeps you coming back?
As Michael Corleone says, I try to get away and they keep reeling me back. The other one is Garrett Morris, and when he was on Saturday Night Live, and he said, "Baseball's the best thing you get to be." I will repeat and say, horror has been very, very good to me. So I'm, I just think I've just been very lucky. I think that, I've done other genres, and I will continue to, but I've been just. I don't know. I think that they like me, so they continue to call me. I guess they figure that I have something to offer, and knock on wood, I hope they continue to think that. I enjoy horror. I enjoy the horror fans. They oh my God, the horror fans. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm in so many horror films, because the fans continue to want to see me there. So
that's very true. Yes, we do. And this has become a staple of our interviews because the responses are simply that good. What is the strangest request you've ever received from a fan, whether it's at a convention or on the street?
Whoa. It's strange. It's so strange. I've had some funny body parts. I'm not going to say what body parts, but probably some body parts. Some of the requests are quite bizarre, to say the least. So that's probably the strangest thing. I think, horror, and if I can go back to horror for a minute, I think that it's fans, as an actor, or as writers, or producers, or directors, and in my industry, you have to deal with our stock and trade are emotions, and we deal with emotions. And in horror, you have two of the strongest, or a few of the strongest emotions in the human psyche. You have fear and screaming, and you're scared, and you're screaming, and sometimes you even wet your pants. And then you go back and you do it again and again. It's almost like I call it the roller coaster effect. I don't want to get on. You get on and you go up, and oh God, it's going to be terrible. You go down and you're screaming your head off, and by the time you get off the darn thing, Well, let's go back and do it again.
Right.
But it's the emotional charge. And I think with horror films, you sit there and say, "Oh, scare me again, scare me again." Let me have that explosive emotional charge again. And I think that's what I think if you love the special effects and if you're really affected by the scene and the very strong emotions that it generates, I think that you won't forget it, and it creates a special relationship between the directors, producers, writers, and actors, and the fans in the horror genre. So that's my take. Actors are never very bright, so don't quote. I hope you don't quote me, but you will. They say that I was drinking a lot, you know. Then we were at a bar. We were put down about 4 or 5 shots before we started this interview.
Yeah, we got loosened up before we started.
Yeah, we got too loose, and Ken went crazy. That's what you said. The man went overboard.
So what projects do you have on the horizon right now, whether they're completed or just still in the works?
You know, I've got one. I've got one right now that I'm waiting to hear if I'm going in March. And from what I understand, from all indications, it's going to happen.
Nice.
But I don't have the money. No one sent a check. The contracts have not been signed. I've worked with the people before. I have faith that at this point that when they say yes, definitely we're going, the money's coming there. I have faith that it's going to happen. I've asked them, can I mention it now? At this point, because I have an interview that I would like to mention that this is going to start, and they said, no, not yet. So I won't say anything. Let's just say in March, Ken hopes to be in Europe. and he's sorry that he can't tell you now, but if you call, I'll tell you what, as soon as I hear, I will call you back, and I will give you a little 2 or 3 minutes of what the film's about, and you can maybe throw it on somewhere. How's that sound?
That sounds great to me. Sounds great.
Okay.
All right, well, Ken, man, I've been waiting a while to talk to you, and it's definitely been worth the wait. Thank you for taking a few minutes to talk.
Hey, listen, I really appreciate you being patient and understanding, because it really, things just could not be helped, and I'm out of my control. I didn't want to put you off, but you were on a long list of people I have to apologize to. So
No apologies necessary, man. I appreciate it.
Talk to you soon, buddy.
Thank
you.
Hey, buddy, just give you a heads up. I got a Taco Deluxe Supreme talking back at me, so I'm gonna be a while.